Let me ask you a question. Have you tried the new photo page that's inside of DaVinci Resolve 21? Maybe you went to hit the quick export button, and when you exported, you realized, hey, you lost all your original file names of the photos when you exported. You got the photo album name that was sequentially numbered. Maybe you want to track back later to what the original raw file was. Well, that's actually controlled with what's called a metadata token that uses %sign source name. But how do you use it, and how can you set up a custom delivery page preset? That's what I'm going to teach you today, including a lot more valuable metadata you probably want to inject into your exports, as well as the output color space. So if that's something that interests you, let's take a look at how it's done. Now, in order to actually create custom delivery page photo album export settings, you need a photo album here to work on. So I'm on the photo page. In the upper left, I'm going to go to Import Media folder to actually get some photos in here. I'll select these raw files, select them all in the media pool. I'll right click and say create a new photo album using selected clips. The reason I like to do it this way is it prompts me to name it, and I'm going to use this name in the deliver page export setting. So give it a name. Might make sense to name it the talent that's on the photo. So we'll just call that one Braxton. That's the photo album name. And then we also want to take care and pay attention to the output color space setting for the color management settings, because that's what gets tagged in the JPEG photos. So to do that, you'll go up to File, Project Settings. In your project settings, this is your color management tab. And what matters when you tag and export your photos is the output color space here. So this is the default. It's going to tag them right now as Rec 709. Now, you would just change this to sRGB. You can do managed or not managed. Personally, I'm going to try to use a lot more color managed in my tutorials and my work this year. So I'm going to change this to DaVinci YRGB color managed. Color processing mode, most of the footage I use is HDR footage. So I'm going to leave color processing mode to HDR. So that's like log footage or raw photos would be HDR captures. But the output space, this is what I would use if it was video, but since they're photos, I'm just going to change this to SDR, sRGB, and now everything is going to get tagged and managed correctly on the output. Hit save. Now we can go to the deliver page and create our custom export. So on the deliver page, you'll see when you have a photo album loaded. By the way, if you have a timeline, you can change between timelines and photo albums right up here at the top. There's a little drop down, quick way to navigate between them without jumping to different pages. But over on the left, I'm going to choose custom export. I'm going to choose JPEG. I'm going to choose original. Resolution, though, I'm actually going to choose 72 because I just need it for screen. Automatic compression, include metadata, that's important. That'll include things like the date the photo was captured, the lens it was used on that capture as well. But as far as the rest of this goes, we got to set this up. So the first thing I want to think about is I don't want to leave this as untitled. I'm going to delete that for the file name. I'm going to hit this plus icon. You could either hit the plus icon, which is new, or you can type in what's been around for a long time is the %sign to get metadata inserted dynamically photo per photo per photo, written into the file name as it's exported. So personally, here's what I'm doing. This is what makes sense for me. I'm going to create two different presets, and they're both going to include the %sign source name, but that's not going to be the beginning of the file name. The first piece of metadata that I'm going to use is going to be project name. Project name is just what it sounds like. It's going to be photo export demo. But if you did a shoot for a specific client one day, that would be the beginning of the file. Then I'll do an underscore. Then I'll do %sign again. Or if you want, you can click the plus icon there to see all the tokens available. But I'll do %sign this time. And now this time I want to include the photo album name. So the photo album name is not what it's called over here, though. It's actually called the timeline name, because I guess it acts like a timeline. Then I'll do underscore. And the third one here, this is the big kicker to get that original file name included into the photo export. That's going to be %sign source name. Hit return, and then it turns into this sort of like a gray pillbox kind of shape there. If you don't see that, it means it's not, you're putting actual text in and not the metadata string. So metadata variable. So just pay attention. You need to see this surrounding box or it's not entered correctly. And then the final piece of the puzzle here for the file name itself that I personally like to include is the render resolution, because I'm going to make a preset here that's for source file resolution and one that's for 1920 by 1080 or whatever closest to 1920 by 1080 is. So the final thing I'm going to choose is %sign, and we'll call this one render resolution is what I'm looking to do. Now, as far as location goes, this can also be included into your preset that you create. So the first thing I'll do is give it a hard path to start. So a good thing to do in a tutorial is always navigate to your desktop, hit save, and then I'm just going to append, so that's going to auto-generate folders on creation. And the way you do this with metadata is I'm just going to put a / there. That's going to tell the deliver page preset to generate a folder on creation. And how do I want this folder to be created? Well, in my work that I do, it makes sense to do this by date. So there's a token that can do that. It can call up today's date. So %, and I'll just go to date. And the date that I'm interested in is the one that's called date ISO. Basically, it starts with a year, so it keeps things sequential when you go from December to January. So like it'll say 2026 at the beginning. And then I actually want to do a folder inside of this as well, because I'm creating a photo that is going to be rendered at 2 different resolutions, and I want it to sort this for me as well. So if I do another / it'll make another folder for me. And this one's going to be % render resolution, which we had previously used. And that's basically it for my full-size JPEG renders. Now, to actually utilize this in the future, all I need to do is come up here to the 3 dot options menu, save as a new preset, and I'll just call this JPEG full, hit save, and then I'll add that to render queue. And now we can go over here and just make a small tweak to get a smaller, like social media size sharing version of this. And this is going to be done, instead of saying size original, I'm going to change this one to long side. So you've got options for short side, long side. I think this is a nice little touch they did. I'm going to change this to 1920. So the longest side will be 1920 pixels. This is a huge feature, and I actually want you to realize what's happening. It's going to maintain the aspect ratio for us. This is something I am begging Blackmagic, if you're listening, that you give this option for doing for video, for source, individual clip renders, because this would help for plate publishing for visual effects, like majorly. Because I would love to have mixed resolutions on a timeline and export them at a similar down res size. Anyways, that's a side tangent. Basically, this is all I'm doing here for my smaller one, long size, 1920 by 1080. The rest of these presets are all going to be the same. I'm just going to come up here and save a new preset for this one. It'll be called JPEG small. So I've got 2 different presets that are ready to go for next time. We'll go ahead and add that to the render queue. And the best thing about this, you just select both of these over here. I'm just shift selecting both jobs in the render queue. I will say render all. And let's take a look over here at the desktop. It auto-generated a folder with today's date, 2026-06-09. And if you go inside of there, you'll notice it has automatically generated resolution folders, and it has retained right in the middle of our string there the original file name, which right off the Sony a7 IV, I had it set to say CVT as a prefix, and all of those have a unique file name. The reason this is really nice is because if I need to find where is 8056 and I have it on disk somewhere, well, this is telling me, okay, it's going to be inside this project, this Resolve project, inside this photo album, and I can quickly find, and maybe this shot's way too dark. I need to go reprocess it. I have a way to track back the history on it. And I've got different folders of different sizes. So if you need to send this to your phone, it's 8 megabytes. This one that's the original 33 megapixels is 60 megabytes. And the raw of all of this is 750 megabytes. So compression is your friend. These deliver page tokens are your friend. Hopefully you'll be able to use % source name in your next photo exports. My name is Chadwick. Thank you so much for watching. And because there's so much more to learn, I'll see you in the next video.